Good morning. I'm with my good friend Kim DeYoung here. And Kim, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what you're up to?
I would love to. Thank you, Brynn. I am a choice coach. I am the recent author of the Book of Choice, which was a 10-year journey in sharing all that I have learned about choice. And at the root, at the most simple, I want to engage with people about their choices, whether it is choices they have made or choices they want to make. And that gives me the most immense pleasure. I developed a process and a new lens through which to look at choice, which is what I share in the book, which is a visual process, an opportunity to learn a bit more about yourself through a self-discovery process called choice mapping. I created three types of maps. One is a map called a people map, which is an opportunity to explore how you know who you know. The second map is called an unfolding map, which is a chronological visual of all that has come into your life from a choice you've made. And then the third type of map is called an exploration map. That's the one I tend to do more often. That is the deep introspective map that is rooted in inquiry. And that is the map where you're looking at the emotions and the what's and whys behind your choice.
So it's a visual representation of a decision that you make and the ramifications and what came as a result of that. So you're looking into the future to see possibilities. And is it true that when you see possibilities, that lets you say, okay, this way or that way?
I think the real power of possibility is with every choice, we have fears that can hold us back and possibilities that can pull us forward. The
Mhm.
more rooted you are in what's possible, the more likely that's going to pull you through the fear.
Nice. Okay, that's a perfect juncture for us to dip into what we're going to talk about today. People who come to the accelerator often come in with two kind of desires. We get a lot of people that really want to do a TED Talk. Like, I've heard about this for years. I'm a TED freak. I've loved this and that TED Talk. I want to do that. I want to have my moment on that stage. I want to stand on that big red dot. So we are kind of schooled to think TED is the next step for a big idea. So I get people like, I really want to do TED. But I also get people like, I have no interest in doing TED. None at all. That's not my venue. That's not my thing. I'm developing this idea for my business. I want to create a new offer or even a new business. Or people are saying, I've got all these different ideas for business or presentations or talks. Which is the right one? And it's like this like feast of opportunity up in their mind. Which one do I choose? So I'm hoping that we might use some of your methodology to help people decide, I think I want to do TED. How do I know if TED's right for me? And then the second exercise I'd love to go through with you is, I've got all these ideas. Which one do I pick?
Mhm.
What do you think? Shall we?
I think for the first one, which is like, is TED right for me? Do I move forth with it? I think you have to really ground in as to the why behind a TED. Like, what is it you're looking for it to do for you and also for others? I mean, TED, we know, is an audience focused offering. Yes, we as the business owner, of course, want to put our work out there, but we're only putting it out there if there's an audience that needs what we have to hear. Is your message one that an audience really needs to hear? The reality is most likely someone in this space at the moment is a thought leader of some form.
That's
And
right.
thought leadership can present itself in many ways. TED is one avenue. Keynote speaking is another avenue.
Right.
Writing a book, creating a course. Or maybe TED is not right, and
Mhm.
you're meant to write the book or do the course or have a beautiful YouTube channel where
Or you
you
have a
share
different
ideas.
sequence. Maybe you want to do these things first, and then you're saving TED for, the dessert course further down the line.
If I can share a personal circumstance, and this is when you and I probably spoke more than a year ago when my book wasn't yet published, and we had a conversation about TED, and I think both of us acknowledged the timing was not right. I
Mhm.
needed to publish my book. That needed to happen, and I knew TED was later. And that was an important sequencing in terms of my thinking. And in some way, it freed me up to push to not have TED on my plate at that time. And that was really huge. And that's it. I think for anybody, whatever initiative it is, whether it's TED, a book, a course, or this or that, it requires energy. It requires like full focus and energy, and to dilute what you're doing across multiple things isn't really going to serve you. And if your real vision is as a thought leader, that's probably a really thoughtful question to ask yourself. What is the best form of thought leadership for me now? And again, and then later and later and later.
You have these 5 really significant questions that you bring to most of your choices, all of your choices.
Yeah.
Why does this choice matter? What limiting beliefs or fears might get in my way? How do I want to show up when I make that choice? Who do I want to be? That's what you're getting at. What might become possible because I made this decision? And what actions will I take to bring this choice to life? So I feel like those are super potent questions. Like, how do you hold those questions when you're making a choice of TED or not TED?
I think, like any important choice that you're stepping into, it begins with, why does this choice matter to you? You've got to ground in. And the truth is to go as deeply as you can into that. This is a personal exploration with yourself of like, why do you care? Why are you willing? TED's a huge investment of time.
Yeah.
And why you want to get out there? Why are you willing to invest this time? How's it going to serve you? How's it going to serve others? To think about those answers, because if you don't come up with anything that really lands with you, why bother? I mean, that's
so
like,
intense.
it's so intense. So I think that becomes the first step, as like, let it be a personal exploration for you to do yourself, so you can have your own internal conversation of like, is this the path I'm going down now? And it may be no, not now, not no forever.
I like that question. Is this the path I want to go down?
Yeah. And then let's assume now you've said yes, you've kind of gotten some really juicy, meaty reasons why. Now it is so important to ask yourself, what could hold you back? What are the fears? What limiting beliefs? What noisy things in your head are the things that could keep you from going out there and doing that TED Talk as you wish to do it? What could get in your way, whether it's the intangibles, such as the limiting beliefs, or the more tangible, like my calendar is ridiculously full.
Right.
You have to sort of look at it all. Like, what is the reality of where you are at this time?
Let's talk about one particular limiting belief that comes up a lot for people, which is stage fright. That's a big one. That's a huge bite to swallow. We know that's, a whole physical thing. So
Yeah.
I feel like the question of, do I want to do TED also involves, do I want to commit to dealing with that? Not, do I want to just do TED despite that? But, okay, am I going to support myself in certain ways that let me get beyond that? Is that one of the questions that you might ask?
Without a doubt. And again, I'll share the personal note. When we first spoke, as I was getting my book out, knowing TED Not Now, I had an opportunity to speak in front of 300 people just after my book came out. No, I've never spoken in front of 300 people before. That was an enormous opportunity. But I said yes quickly, even though I was scared to death, because I knew I had to get over myself. That was sort of
there you go.
So I got over one hurdle of speaking to 300 people, which is a huge hurdle. Like, I am very proud of myself. And now, there were things to chip away. So if one were to have that stage fright, which I'm sure is probably one of the most common fears, this is where you now look like, what are some of the actions you could take to potentially get through it?
How am I going to handle that? Right? How am I going to handle the pressure of needing to memorize? Like, I like this one. How do you want to show up as you make your decision?
Oh, that is probably my most favorite question, because I think this is an internal game. This is, who are you showing up to be as you step into this choice? So imagine your choices. I choose to do a TED Talk. Like, just even stand in the power of what that means. That is like you taking enormous agency. You've addressed why. How am I showing up? Well, likely with enormous confidence, likely with real desire to serve. And what are those words? Like, even as I'm saying these words to you, I have full body.
Me too. I'm like,
these are the words. It's like, what are you embodying as you
Mhm.
step into this very big choice.
I just love that because it's so visceral. Because of course, willpower runs dry, and the vision that we paint for ourselves is what pulls us through, like that taste of that possibility. So I love
Mhm.
what you're saying about
Yeah,
standing in that presence.
yeah. And that's, that's where your mindset work comes in. That's where, your own personal habits and your practices, whatever they may be, that support you to stand in that place, because we know there are going to be those days when you don't feel great, you don't have the confidence, and you don't embody it. So how do you get back on track to continue embodying like who you want to be as that person who has made the choice to do a TED Talk?
So that seems intricately linked to the next question, which is what may become possible because I made this decision.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
This is a question that I think is best considered with a friend or someone that you
Oh,
trust, because often somebody else could think bigger for you. So if you and I were to riff on this about either my choice to do TED, your choice to do TED, you are going to see opportunities for me that are probably bigger than what I could see for myself, because I've got my own limitations. Like I'm
sure.
not imagining,
Oh,
some amazing things, which you might be able to see for me. So it's just a beautiful experience that when you're really thinking something big, to get the support of someone you trust who really believes in you.
who really believes in you and doesn't have their own limiting beliefs about like,
Right,
I would never do
right.
that, but you're good at that. Like, so
Yeah,
you pick the right person, I would
right.
imagine.
Exactly. It's the right
So
person.
who's also strong and can envision that and can feel that possibility.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wow. It makes me like, what a thrilling thing to think of when possibilities are joined. Well, that's when we bring out new initiatives, right? That's
Well, and I think the bigger the possibilities are, like the more exciting, the more potential, the more thrilled you get when you see them.
Mhm.
When you look at those in comparison to the things that could hold you back, it becomes an opportunity to say, am I going to let that dumb fear of like speaking in front of those people get in the way when all this is possible? Or that limiting belief that, I'm not good enough, whatever that belief may be. Oh, TED Talks are for other people, for smarter people, for this person, whatever. When you see what's possible and what you could create, you sort of get a bit more confidence to squash those fears a
Yeah.
bit. Like for someone to make this commitment to TED, like you better feel good about it, because it's such a
Yeah.
commitment.
Right.
This is not just a simple choice. This is a really meaningful, life-changing choice.
So, Kim, can you help people who have a world of ideas? They are ideal people like us, but they're just like they're lit up by more than one thing. How do you help somebody make a decision to choose which one will have the most impact, get the most traction, reach my people? Same questions?
Well, I think it's always at the root. These are the 5 core questions that I always ask. At the least, if someone is doing this experience for themselves, do your very best. Ask yourself a question, listen for your answer. Ask another question, listen for your answer. Like treat the process of this Q&A as if you are your own coach. That's the best space that you could sit in for yourself.
Okay.
And
And we
if
always
you were,
start with that one, like, why does this matter? And who does this matter to?
very much so.
Or even just which idea to pick to work on for my business or for my workshop or for my whatever I want to do. So it's not if I do it, but which one.
Well,
Same
something that's
right,
maybe a
right.
very helpful exercise to do prior,
Huh.
really ground yourself in again in like order of operations. And
Oh,
then if I choose to be a thought leader, I choose to get my thought leadership out into the world.
right.
What are the ways to do that?
I choose to be a thought leader. Now, if I'm looking at A, B, or C, which way do I want to go? Which idea do I want
Yeah.
to pursue? I choose to be a thought leader. And now I'm going to hold each of these ideas and bring it into that question. Why does this matter? And to whom does it matter? Like, who are the people that this is going to impact? Like, that's a beautiful way to approach it. It feels
Yeah.
like you're getting into how do you want to show up as you make this decision? You're going there first. I choose to be a thought leader.
And I think a key point about being a thought leader, and this is my belief about thought leadership, thought leaders are of service. To me, that's on par. So I really think from that perspective of like, how are you choosing to show up?
Mhm.
To really, I am the thought, like, as my example, I am a thought leader who shares information about choice. Like, that's all I want to be in conversation about. So for me, that reality of like, who am I serving? How can I be of service to the most people in my conversations? Again, TED is one way, book another, other things. And I think that's a really important question to look at of, who are you? What is the work that you do in the world? Who needs it? What is the messaging that you're sharing with them that is of service to them, that makes a difference in their life? Because that's what you are as a thought leader. You make a difference in other people's lives.
Yeah. I love also this thing that you said, which is like, this is all I want to be in conversation about. And so, what would you like to say for yourself as you go forward? What might become possible because you made the choice to write this book, to stand in this certainty of wanting to play with choice? What's now possible for you?
Wow. It is so thrilling for me because the concept of choice is not age specific. Whether you are 20, at every decade, you are making choices. They may be different types of choices, but you're making versions of personal, professional, relationship choices. And you're navigating that. So I have the opportunity to speak with people at all of those stages. I have the opportunity, which is thrilling to me, to create a curriculum that can be brought into all educational opportunities, something that I'm calling the Choice School. And I'm finding that, and this was nothing that I sought when I created my book, but I've been reached out to by people in addiction, people in prisons, people, veterans, as other communities that are making a choice. They need to make a change. And how can I apply my work to be of service to them? Like, that is not something that was on my radar before, but because I have been in this space of pretty much saying yes to every opportunity that has presented itself to me around choice,
Mhm.
primarily to see, does it land for them and for me? Like, is the thing I'm doing valuable to them and is it fun to me? Like, that's my
Right.
filter through everything.
You're
Um,
living into these decisions.
I'm living into it.
Mhm.
And I have visions for what is possible. And, I've got enormous maps of things, but I'm also just doing it and planning it and also being pretty thoughtful of like, how much can I, as one human, do at one time? And that was the reason of last year to say no to TED.
Yeah,
Like, I
good.
didn't even go there because there was so much else. Now I think that path is the right path.
Can you tell us where people can get this book and how they can find out more about you?
Absolutely. Best place to get it is if you go to yourchoicebook.com, and
Okay.
from there it will direct you to Amazon. But the benefit of going to that page is I've created some beautiful videos that go into more depth about the concepts of the book. So you can get those when you go to that page. And you can certainly learn more about me at kimdeyoung.com. That'll connect you to Instagram, which is where I'm probably most active and having the most fun sharing content. Yeah.
Kim, thank you so much for spending time with me today. It's thrilling to talk about choices and possibilities and where all the ideas might take us. So thank you.
Thank you.
If you've got a big idea that you'd like to get out in the world, join the Big Idea Accelerator. Reach out for more information to Brynn at mindsparkbranding.com.